Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for today's training, Investor and Loan Options for Your Business. I'm Rebecca Chauncey, a business advisor here at the Illinois Small Business Development Center, or SBDC, at Build Bronzeville. This session is brought to you at no cost because it's funded in part through a cooperative agreement with the United States Small Business Administration, or the US SBA, the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, and the Urban Juncture Foundation. So pleased to have you, and hopefully you have something to take great notes with because this will be full of very helpful information as you um, grow or start your business. And I am so pleased to welcome today's presenter. CJ Harris is an Illinois Google digital coach, and we are in for a treat. If you joined us last month, you know that she led a fantastic session on marketing. And so now she's going to talk to you about investor and loan options for your business. Take it away, CJ.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here today. Let me pull up my chat. I just want to get a sense of who is in the room. So if you wouldn't mind, if you feel like sharing your business, your business name and how many years you've been in business, I just think it's always helpful to know like who's in the room. It helps us to have a more rich conversation and really tailor that discussion to fit your needs.
And thank you. One thing, CJ, I meant to add,
Yeah.
everyone, please type, as CJ just asked you to type in the chat, your responses to her question. But if you have questions throughout the training, type those in the Q&A section. You can see both the Q&A and the chat at the bottom of your screen. So remember, right now in the chat, you're going to tell CJ about your business name and the industry and the how many years. Is that right, CJ?
Yep,
Okay.
that's great.
Okay. Thank you all.
Awesome, awesome. So again, this is also a Grow with Google workshop, and we're going to talk about learn about investors and loan options for your small business. Now, just to remind you that Grow with Google is a program that offers free digital skills training and other skills development for business owners, developers, teachers, career seekers, job seekers. Lots of great information. So delighted to share this with you today. Also, as mentioned before, I'm the Illinois Grow with Google digital coach. I also have the pleasure of being a small business owner as well. So a lot of the topics that we're talking about today are relevant to even myself and some of the things that I've gone through and things that I've been able to achieve in my own company. And so my company is That's So Creative Media. It's a full service creative marketing agency focused on brand strategy, website development, and communications. And of course, you can connect with me if you have additional questions specifically about the Google, Grow with Google program as well. You can reach me at digitalcoachil@growwithg.co. And of course, feel free to follow us on social media. You can follow me at That's So Creative Media and the program at Digital Coaches Program. And then before we take a deep dive, I do want to say that this presentation does not offer any financial or legal advice. It introduces general concepts and resources. So definitely contact your tax professional or lawyer to confirm what is best for your business. Okay. So hopefully everyone on the call does have a tax professional. I know the SBDC has resources as well that they can connect you with. So I'm going to be referencing them a lot throughout this presentation because this is a great resource for you as you are moving forward. Now, We all know that it costs money to operate a business, okay? Like I mentioned before, I've been in business now for 8 years, and I know that it costs money to run a business. Now, some people may get business funding from their personal savings, some may get it from their family or friends, others may get it from a business loan to start their business. There are a variety of options, so it's important to understand what impact those decisions will have on your business, okay? And so we're going to talk about how to understand funding, all the different funding options that you have. We're going to understand how to get a small business loan. We're going to talk a little bit about getting microloans to fund big goals. We'll talk about funding with investors. And then lastly, we'll recap with some resources as well. So let's talk about understanding funding. So for a new or growing business, so I'm not sure if anyone shared in the chat, but if you are a new business or a growing business, feel free to put your business name in the chat and how many years you've been in business. We'd love to know who we're talking to. So if you're a new business or a growing business, it's good to understand how much money are you going to actually need. So that starts by understanding your business costs. So your costs can help you to determine and estimate your profits and how much money you're going to need to break even. So knowing those estimated profits are key to applying for a loan or to talking to investors, right? So they're going to want to know like how much money does this business make? What are your expenses? How much money do you need to fund your growth? Okay. So really take heed to that. And so this information also will help you as it comes to tax time. And so a key to estimating costs is to be organized. So if you have access to like a spreadsheet or something like that, if you want to pull up Google Sheets, feel free to follow along. Or if you already have like some profit and loss or cash flow statements that you want to pull up in your accounting software, feel free to follow along as we're doing this exercise. So your budgeting software or spreadsheet can help you get a clear picture of your finances. And at the end of today's workshop, I'm also going to give you some templates for this as well. So you want to start by listing the items that that businesses most need, right? So in addition you to like office space or maybe a co-working space or something like that, if you have a brick and mortar location, you may also need supplies for desks, pens, utilities, electricity, heating, communications, equipment, and any other necessary like licenses or permits or insurance. If you're a contractor, you're in the trades, you typically need different sorts of licenses. And I do want to note, even if you're not in like a trade, I recommend everyone on this call have business insurance, right? Have small business insurance if you're in business, okay? And so you also want to account for paying your employees. That could be any outside consultants as well, lawyers, accountants, and put a line item in to pay yourself, right? So don't forget about yourself when you're calculating your cost. Okay. I know a lot of business owners, especially if you're bootstrapping and you're funding the business yourself, you don't always count yourself in those expenses. So definitely do that. You also want to calculate marketing costs, advertising costs. It takes money to operate a business, to market a business, to grow your business. So think about, how much will market research cost, buying ad space, building a website. So put all those expenses in there. And then you'll want to note like which of these expenses are one-time costs versus reoccurring costs. Okay. And so, of course, one-time costs could be anything like buying major equipment, designing a logo, buying that permit, or, paying for a permit that lets you open your store. And then the rest of those costs are repeating expenses. So those could be your salaries, utilities, rent. And you want to calculate these, how much it will cost for 1 month, 1 year, and 5 years. Okay, so you want to have an estimate of your expenses for 1 month's expenses. How much are your expenses for 1 year, and then 5 years? Because again, investors, potential funders, they want to see your growth. They're funding your growth, right? They're funding, they may help you with your now, but they're also funding your growth. And so add up these total expenses to see how much you'll need and separate these expenses into your monthly costs, annual expenses, and your 5-year budget. And so once you know how much money you will need, you can start to evaluate different ways to get funding. So different businesses need different type of funding, and you want to choose the right funding source for you so that you don't incur unnecessary debt, right? You don't want to start with unnecessary debt. And you don't want to get into bad deals and bad contracts, right? That could really cause your business to fail or to suffer, okay? And so there are a variety of funding options available. So if you have personal resources, you may be able to fund your business yourself. And in that case, you own 100% of your business, right? So I always recommend for any new business owners out there, if you're trying to fund your business and you're bootstrapping your business, right? That's what we call self-funding. You're bootstrapping your business. I always recommend if you have a day job, don't leave your day job until you have enough money to actually fund your business and to replace your salary. And really, not just replace your salary, you need to be making enough money to replace your salary and hire help and cover all of those expenses, those costs. So, again, that's why it was so important to do that 1 year budget, that 1 month budget, the 1 year budget, and the 5 year budget. Okay. And so you can also get a small business loan. And this is like any other type of bank loans. After you get the loan, you will need to make regular payments on that loan plus interest until you have paid the loan back. Now, microloans are just like they sound, and they're a really good resource for small businesses. Okay, so I don't know if any of you have taken advantage of microloans, but they are a great resource for you, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later in the presentation. And so they're usually smaller than traditional business loans, but they usually also have shorter terms, meaning that you have to pay that loan back more quickly. And then if your business has like a compelling story, you may be able to use crowdfunding to get a lot of people to contribute small amounts of money into your business. Now, I want to pause here and just talk a little bit more about crowdfunding because it is a great way to fund your business. And again, you're getting money from investors, right? But they're not taking equity out of your business. You are giving them something small in return for their investment, but it is a really just really cool way of how to fund your business. So I'm going to share a couple of examples from some real business owners. And I ran across this case study the other day. They actually got some press in the news. And so they started a Kickstarter campaign, which is really great. So as it says here, Kickstarter connects creators with backers to fund their projects, right? So normally they tend to fund like, arts and entertainment. They'll fund food and beverage products, things like that, things that you're like making or creating, right? So the business, that you have, it is limited with a Kickstarter campaign. There are alternatives to Kickstarter, but I'm going to focus on Kickstarter for this presentation here. And as you can see, this company, Runaway Cow Vegan Ice Cream Shop, they have already raised $22,599. They had 139 backers. When I looked at this presentation yesterday, they had $21,000. Okay, so just within one day, they've gotten $1,000. Now they have 22 days left to go in their campaign, and that's important to note because if they do not meet their funding goal within the deadline, they do lose this money here. So the person who's backing the campaign does not actually get charged until the company reaches their goal. So that is something to note. And of course, if they don't reach their goal, they'll have to start over with the campaign. So that's one drawback. Again, there are some alternatives to Kickstarter, but this is the most popular that we're going to focus on for the next couple minutes. And so one thing to note too is that it's really simple to come up with ideas, right, of what you're going to give in return for that person's fund or their donation, right? So you may give a shout out on social media. It doesn't cost you anything. The person gives you $5, you give them a shout out. They have other rewards, mostly like stickers, t-shirts, things like that. And they go up as the funds get bigger. And so again, this is like a really effective way, because think about it this way. Even though you have to spend a little bit of money on these swag items, if I spend $1,000 on swag, but I get $30,000 in return, that's a really great investment. Okay. So any questions about crowdfunding? And also, this is another one here. This is a friend of mine who actually got her campaign funded for her book. And again, as I mentioned before, it really helps to have like a compelling story. And I'll just play, let me see, make sure this should sound. I won't play the whole video, but I just wanted to give you a sense of like even the production quality. I think she did a nice job.
Hi, my name is Leanne Stuckey, and I'm so glad you're watching this video. This Kickstarter campaign is a special one and has a really important mission. My debut children's picture book, Beautifully Blemished, was written to empower kids with visible skin differences while raising awareness and educating others. By supporting this campaign, you'd be investing in this mission. I was born with a facial birthmark. And growing up, everyone thought my birthmark was a black eye. There was obvious teasing, especially in the early years, and I received countless stares and numerous questions over the years. I never experienced serious bullying or any traumatizing events surrounding my birthmark, but sadly, that's not the case for many kids and adolescents in the skin different community.
Okay, so I'm gonna play the entire campaign, but you can get a sense of the type of resources you might need to run your Kickstarter campaign. So generally, you do need like a video, a compelling video, right, to help tell the story. Other platforms may not require video, but this is the most effective way. You also want to tell about the product or about the service. You want to talk about the why of your campaign. Okay, she's on a mission to combat childhood bullying and raise the self-esteem of children with visible birthmarks. And then we're looking at a little bit of behind the scenes, and that's the same way with this one as well. So if we look at just really quickly, we get a picture of their story, right? So a little bit of behind the scenes, what they have to offer, why is this important. They're moving to Bridgeport, so they're bringing vegan ice cream to the south side of Chicago, so that's pretty significant. Not a lot of vegan options on the south side. So again, if you have a compelling story, this could be a great option for you. And that's just, in general, right? When we're marketing ourselves, we need to have a compelling story. So again, let me know if you have any questions around crowdfunding. Okay. So now we're going to hop into small business loans. Okay, so small business loans, you have complete ownership of your company, but you will take on debt. Microloans are similar, but they're smaller, and usually have higher interest rates. So let's look at an avatar here, case study, Pearl. Okay, so Pearl owns a jewelry store, and it's called, you guessed it, Pearl's Pearls. And business has been good. She's thinking about opening a second location, and Pearl has saved up some money and created a strong business plan, but still she knows she needs more money to operate her new spot. And so Pearl does not have a strong social network, and she doesn't have a lot of flashy marketing materials. She's also trying to create a business with she's not trying to create a business with millions of customers right now. She just wants to open another store. Okay, so this is important about the type of funding that Pearl may be looking at. So Pearl could go to a lender who specializes in startups, also known as venture capital, or she can get she can market to lots of people who see her marketing and decide to give her small amounts of money, aka crowdfunding, or she can go to a bank that is familiar with the needs of small businesses, like a small business loan. And so Pearl has decided that the best option for her is to get funding from a bank that is familiar with the needs of small businesses, aka a small business loan. Now, what is a small business loan? So again, a small business loan is a borrowed sum of money expected to be repaid with interest. The things that they will consider, they're going to consider your credit history. Repayment is according to the loan's terms and conditions. Interest will be applied to the loan. Oftentimes that's connected to your credit history, your credit score. And most often, for a small business loan in particular, you may be required to offer up some personal collateral or a guarantee. Next, you want to know, how are you going to use the loan? So before you even approach a bank, you want to know how you're going to use the loan. Do you need this loan for working capital, right, to help with your day-to-day needs? And that's usually a type of loan that you want to pay back within a year. Okay, so if it's working capital, you want to pay that money back within a year. Okay, an example might be a retail store that has to buy inventory for the fall to sell during the holiday season. Now, other businesses may need growth capital. So with that, you may have some more time, up to 7 years, to pay back that loan. So for example, maybe a printing company would need a loan for a high capacity printing press so that it can grow over for years to come. Now, regardless of the type of loan that you need, be sure that you don't take on more debt than you can afford. So if you do have a chance to get a loan, you may have to offer collateral, and that's something of value like a building or a car or something like that, that if you can't repay that loan, the bank is going to take that item, okay? So definitely think about that. Don't take on more debt than you actually need, okay? Now, before giving you a loan, the bank also wants to know if your business is solid. Can you repay back the loan? They will ask you to prepare a loan package. Now, a loan package includes a statement of purpose, which is an overview of your loan request that explains how the money will help your business. It will also require you to have a business plan that has insights into how your business works, from product descriptions to a breakdown of your management structure. It will also require you to have a financial statement, and this takes lenders through how much money your business earns and how much money can it potentially bring in. Now, there are a lot of nonprofit organizations like the SBDC, or Small Business Development Centers, that have templates and documents that you can use as models as you're preparing your loan package. Okay, so definitely take advantage of the resources from the SBDC. And they can also, they usually have, advisors and people who can definitely help you through that process. And also you can visit the SBA.gov. And also, one other thing to note, ask your bank as well, because banks may have specific templates that they want you to use for your loan package, all right? Now, let's talk about how to use microloans for funding big goals. And before I move on to that, does anyone have any questions around traditional small business loans?
Not yet, CJ, but if I may just give you a break in talking for a moment. Everyone, if you joined after my initial announcement, remember to type questions that you have, even as CJ speaks, in the Q&A section. Yes, we'll have time at the end of her presentation to address Q&A, but as she's speaking, feel free to type the questions in the Q&A section, and if they're relevant in the moment, I will share them with her, or again, we will address them at the end. So just know that. Thank you, CJ.
Awesome. Awesome. So, how do we use microloans to fund big goals? Now, we're going to take a look at another avatar, Clyde. So, Clyde is a budding young farmer who has developed quite a green thumb at working with other people. Now, recently his uncle left him a piece of land. It has great soil, and Clyde is thinking about starting his own farm, allowing him to provide for his family and his community. Now, the machines should not be too expensive, but the price tag is standing in between him starting his business and reaching his goal. So it's not a big expense, but he still doesn't have the money yet for that expense. So Clyde hasn't owned a business before and hasn't established any credit. So it might be hard for him to get a bank loan. And so in this case, a microloan is a good choice for him. And so, of course, microloans are just how they sound. They're smaller than traditional banks, but they need to be paid back more quickly. They can be good options for startup businesses, but you still have to qualify, okay? And they come with higher interest rates. So even if you're starting your business from the ground up, you may need to demonstrate that you have at least some type of experience in the industry. So if you're coming, maybe you need money to fund like a salon, or you need equipment for your hair business, right? You need to at least show that you can do hair, right? You need to show that you have some level of expertise in the industry that you're trying to get the loan for, even if you don't have a lot of credit history or financial history. And so you can also, they may ask you for your personal credit as well to be checked. And you'll have to explain anything negative on your credit history. And you may also have to have a co-signer. Now, the thing to note about these micro lenders is that they want to see you succeed. Oftentimes they're connected to other like nonprofits, or maybe it's a part of the bank's community program. So if there's stuff on your credit history that's negative, you can oftentimes work with them to kind of talk through and explain, like, okay, this is the scenario, this is what happened, what had happened was, right? So they will kind of work with you more than a larger traditional bank. And so you may have a business idea, but you may not know what it takes to run a business. So again, many of these micro lenders, they want to offer advice, they offer resources and expertise in addition to the funding. So a lot of times they won't just give you the funding, it may be tied to a program or a special advising that you have to adhere to help you develop your business plan, because they want to make sure that your business is solid. Okay, they want to help set you up for success. So even if you don't have a full business plan, again, those micro lenders can help you to write your business plan. All right. Any questions about micro lenders? And so again, many micro lenders are associated with nonprofit groups. So look for one that matches your particular situation. To find a micro lender, you can use search portals like the Association for Enterprise Opportunity or the Microfinance Gateway, or you can look on SBA.gov. I will also mention that I'm quite sure the SBDC has some micro lenders as well that they can recommend to you. And so different micro lenders also have different restrictions on what you can and can't do with the proceeds of your loan. So be sure that you understand the specific microlender and what they offer before going with them. And while a microloan may seem like the easier way to go, you still may be better off looking at a traditional loan, which has a lower interest rate. So again, you need to weigh your unique financial situation, okay? And so the first step again is to put together the materials that you'll need to approach several banks and lenders. And even if you're unable to get that traditional loan, then you can consider the microloan. Now we're going to hop into investors. Okay, so we're going to take a deeper dive into another way of how to get funding, and that is working with investors. And if you find investors, most likely they will want a percent of your business in exchange for giving you funding. So you will no longer own 100% of your business. Okay. So let's take a look at our next friend here, Bibiana. And we're going to use her as an example for today. And so Bibiana has a business that makes bike baskets that convert into shopping carts. And she sold a good amount of baskets, but she needs funding to expand her business. She's decided to look into investors to grow her business. Now, the key to investing is to have a funding strategy. And so, number one, investors are going to want to know how much money do you need and how are you planning on spending it? Investors know that there's always a risk in investing. So, think about the concerns that potential investors might have with your particular business. And that way, you can be prepared to answer those questions about the risk. Okay, so don't try to hide the risk, right? If there's a pitfall in your industry, if there's another competitor out there or something like that, you need to let them know about the risk up front. Okay. You also need to be able to define what makes your business unique. So you want to write down your strongest selling points that will help you to demonstrate to potential investors why they should consider investing in your business. So by taking these points and more into consideration, you can create a funding strategy that will help set your business up for success. Now, again, potential investors, they want to know how you're going to spend the money. So remember earlier in the presentation, I mentioned having a spreadsheet or a document to document all of your past expenses. You also want to record estimates of your future business, of your future expenses, right? And so these might include hiring employees, marketing, research, development of products, as well as producing the product. And so also, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, Google Sheets has a lot of great financial templates where you can find just all sorts of templates that help you to outline your business plan and your expenses and your cash flow and things like that. So you can visit sheets.google.com. And so, of course, we know that investing in any business takes risks. So it's important to, again, document those potential risks. You might be reluctant to call those out, but you want to be prepared because they're going to ask you, if they're a savvy investor, they're going to ask you about those risks anyway. And some of the risks that they may ask you about are, number one, do you have the right team in place? Is your team knowledgeable and trustworthy? All right. Do you have enough people that actually want your product, right? We may think that we have a great business idea, but we need to test it in the marketplace first to see, do people actually want this product? And then if the market is too small, potential investors may worry that they can't make enough money from investing in your business. So I've noticed a lot of times this is why people don't go this route, because maybe their idea is not big enough, right? When you go into the land of investing, you want to think big, okay? And so also execution and distribution are also big risks to small businesses that have big growth plans. So you want to be able to make sure that you're able to handle business growth. I always say that all growth is not good growth, right? Sometimes your business can grow so fast that you're not actually prepared for that growth. So those are some of the risks that potential investors may ask you about. And so when you think about investing or presenting your business to present potential investors, you want to think about how do you sell your ideas and your strengths to them. Now, some things that you want to put into your strategy are how much revenue will you generate now, and how much more revenue will you generate from the funding, right? So you want to know how much revenue is the company bringing in. If they give you this funding, how much more revenue do you think you can make if you get this funding? Okay. And how much does it cost to get a customer? Now, this is called the cost of acquisition. And I'll just let you in on a tip. If you're running like ads or anything like that, you can calculate the cost of acquisition, right? So, how much money did it cost you per click or per, if you go to a trade show, you go to a booth, you pay for, a certain amount of money for that booth, and then maybe you got 3 leads from that actually turned into customers. You can divide that cost by how many leads you got or how many customers you got, right? So that's one way of how to calculate that cost of acquisition. And then if you have a service or a subscription business, you want to highlight the number of users that you have, and you want to also document how often those people come back to engage with your business in different ways. So this is what we call retention. If you visit some of our other workshops on marketing, we talk about customer retention. We talk about brand advocacy and loyalty and retention and different strategies on how you can retain customers. And so investors are going to want to know, how often are people coming back for repeat business? Because again, that's essential to your growth. And now, how do you search for investors to fund your business? Why do businesses seek out investors, right? So many businesses rely on investors for funding to start or expand their operations. Investor funding is different because it is not a loan. Investors usually fund in exchange for ownership or equity into your company. Equity gives investors a share of the profits, right? And so if a business does not profit, an investor may walk away with nothing, okay? So if your business doesn't make any money, again, that investor doesn't get anything. Okay, so potential investors, again, they want to be sure that you are worth the risk. And that's why you'll see a lot of detailed information about your business before making a final decision. And they want to know, do you have a good business vision, right? Do you have a vision for where this business is going? Is that detailed? Is that outlined in your business plan? I'm hoping that everyone on the call has a business plan, okay? So if you do not have your business plan, definitely write it out. All right. I'm pretty sure that you can get templates from SBDC. There's templates online, but start writing that business plan. Okay. They'll also want to see audited financial statements of your past and current finances. And they'll probably want to see those financial projections of the next 5 years. So remember the exercise we talked about earlier about knowing about the next 5 years. And that will help them see if the business has growth potential and if it's worth the risk. And now you'll want to talk to a lot of people to find the right potential investor for your business. I always think about investing as like a marriage almost. It's a relationship, it's a partnership, okay? So you don't want to just get into bed with anybody. You don't want to just get into a relationship or a contract with the wrong investor. So do your research. Try contacting chambers of commerce and other groups that help small businesses. You can contact economic development agencies, agencies like the SBDC as well within your city or state or even national ones. You can reach out to business and trade organizations. You can ask people, other questions like how do you how do you know, who do you know that can help me with investing? So if you're going to these different entities, you want to ask them, who do you know that can help me with potential investors? And a lot of times people will talk, they'll say, oh yeah, I know of this venture capital firm. I know of this angel investor. I know of this investor that helps women startups, you know. So people talk. So you want to start to ask questions, right? And if you ask enough people that questions, chances are, again, you will find the right person and the right resource. And even if your friends and family or local community don't have a lot of money, they may know someone, right, who can introduce you to a potential investor group. And then also you can search on the internet as well. Again, you want to fully investigate any resources that you find on or offline. So true investors, this is important to note, a true investor will not ask you for money up front. So if they're asking you for money up front, we know that's a scam, run away, okay? And so remember to use your best judgment. Don't give out any banking info, don't give out any passwords or sensitive information, and you always want to consult your accountant for advice. And don't give up. So investors don't always broadcast the fact that they have money to invest. Now there are venture capital firms, you know, VC firms, and so you know that those groups of investors are ready to invest. But angel investors, you know, people who are investing, they don't always advertise that they have money. Okay. And so, really quickly, let's just go over how to create a presentation for your potential investors. And so, that presentation oftentimes is called a pitch deck. And so a potential investor may want to see your presentation even before they meet with you. So that's important to note as well. So you may not get a chance to kind of add your spin or your flair, right, to that presentation. For those of you that, you know, may have good stage presence, right? We think about like Shark Tank style, and we've got the, you know, the stage and we've got our props and everything. It doesn't always happen like that, right? A lot of times investors will want to see your presentation deck before they even agree to meet with you. Or they may have an assistant who will evaluate your presentation before they decide that it's good enough to be shown to an investor. Okay, so in either case, people will evaluate your business idea in what they see in your presentation. So the key point of your presentation is to capture the investor's attention. So to start, you want to include information about the founders of your business. You want to share their work history and any other relevant projects that they've worked on, and tell why that you are an expert in your field. So if you're the founder or you have other founders, tell why they are the experts in their field. And hopefully, after seeing your presentation, an investor will want to get to know you a little bit better. And this could be the framework for future meetings with them. And so, going through the process of creating your presentation can also to help you organize your thoughts. And it lets you know if you have all the information that you need to answer any questions for potential investors that they may have in your business. And so if an investor sees your presentation and decides not to meet, always ask for feedback, okay? So I do this a lot in my company, even if I'm just like sending out a proposal for a work or project and I don't get the project, I'll send a follow-up note. Hey, can you provide any feedback on our presentation, our proposal? You know, what made you decide to go a different direction? And so you might get some really good advice from how to make your presentation better from that potential investor. Okay. So sometimes an investor might think your presentation is great, but the business just isn't a good fit for them. In that case, ask them if they can share your presentation with other investors that they know. So investors, they know people, right? So ask them to share it out with someone else. And in every case, your presentation represents your business. So keep it clean, keep it short and memorable. And so here are the elements that make your presentation great. So you want to have a solid storyline. You want to have strong visual appeal. Okay, you don't want to have any errors in your presentation. So definitely make sure that you're sending it to someone else to proofread, making sure that there's no errors in your presentation. And you also want to aim for about 12 to 15 minutes, right? So you want to keep it short, and that invites the investor to ask questions, right? And then also it's important to note that you want to rehearse your presentation again and again and again. So you don't want to be stumbling. You want to be able to present your presentation with ease. All right. And so you can use Google Slides as well to help you create your presentations. You can find the Google Slides at slides.google.com, and you can visit the template gallery and choose a template. And there's even a template called pitch. Okay, so that's a good place to start. So if you've never seen a pitch deck before, if you've never had the opportunity of presenting your pitch to someone, go to these templates so that you can get a feel for what a pitch deck actually looks like and what elements you need to include. And so we don't necessarily have time to do an exercise, but again, feel free to pull up Google Slides. And if you want to look over, the pitch deck, you want to, practice adding in your introduction, right? So this should capture the attention of strangers who are reading your presentation. This is your time to get them curious, right? So we want to have a really compelling story, a compelling hook about your business, why your business is great, and how they can make money by investing in it. Again, you want to include team biographies. You want to have an explanation of the challenges. So again, all businesses have challenges, so be upfront about that. Investors want to make sure that you are clear about the obstacles that you face, because I will tell you this from having presented my business in front of potential investors, the worst thing that you can have happen is they ask you a question that you don't know the answer to, right? They ask you a question of something about your industry or something about the numbers, and you're like, and it's like, no, you need to rehearse that, and you need to understand the pitfalls, right? Um, and then you also want to have proposed solutions. Okay, so let potential investors know how you can solve the challenges that you just addressed. So it's important to not just know like what the challenges are, but here's some ways how we plan to address these problems. Here's some ways how we plan to circumvent these issues. Someone has a question, I think, in the chat.
In the Q&A section, yes. The person asked to see that slide before the slides .google
Yeah.
where you lay out tips the tips, excuse me, on laying out the presentation. But everyone, please note, I think maybe that's it. But you please note that you will receive a recording of the presentation sometime later. So you will also have the opportunity to view then. Maybe try the one just before, because yeah, perhaps it's that what makes the presentation great. Oh, and the person says that they'll look at the recording too. She said, yes, that's perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so again, information that you want to include in your presentation. You want to include financing info. So when you're asking people for money, you need to be clear, how is it going to be used? So give people the confidence that their money will be well spent to grow the business and make a profit. And lastly, you'll want to have a conclusion. So you want to round out that presentation and lay out the next steps for investors. You want this to be really crystal clear. Okay, I can't stress that enough. And let them know how they can connect with you and how they can get more information or schedule a meeting. So that actually concludes our presentation. I'm going to give you just a quick recap and some resources. And so again, key takeaways, we talked about the different funding options for different purposes. So remember that your business is different, your business is unique. So really take the time to think about what different funding options do you need specifically for your business? What would be a good fit, right? So if you have that compelling story, right? We talked about the crowdfunding. So if you have a really great story, it's something that people can back, they can rally behind, they can get behind your mission, your vision, right? So definitely consider crowdfunding for that, okay? Consider a traditional loan. So if you've got a solid credit history, you've got, good financial records, you may even have some, good collateral to put up. It's risky, right? But that may be a great option for you. Okay, especially if we're talking about long-term growth. And then for microloans, definitely think about microloans. I've used microloans for my business as well. They're a great way to get started. Again, you usually have to pay those back quickly, and they have a higher interest rate. So definitely consider that. The faster you pay it off, the less interest you pay, right? And then again, decide which funding path is right for you. Build your loan package. Develop your funding strategy. Search out those potential investors and create your presentation to share. Now, that wraps us up for today. I do want to let you know about different resources that we have. So if you are interested in topics like these, you can visit youtube.com/grow with Google. Also, if you are interested in furthering your career, so Google offers a number of career certificates in data analytics, marketing, IT, UX, project management, cybersecurity. So definitely take advantage of these certificates. And then again, there's a number of free online training, not just for business owners, but for teachers, students, job seekers, and developers. And with that, I thank you so much. And definitely, if you need any assistance, all of everything that I talked about today, please get in touch with the SBDC at Build Bronzeville. They can definitely help you walk through these concepts. And also you can connect with me, digital coach IL at growwithg.co. That's my email, and connect with me on social media as well. And stay on the lookout for more virtual workshops that we have. I'm sure we'll be partnering again with the SBDC, and then we offer a number of other workshops as well. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, CJ, for that fantastic presentation. If you could go back to that slide and open it, because part of the slide is cut off. I think it
Oh,
may be because you're in presenter mode, maybe.
can you see?
Yes, perfect. Yes, yes.
Oh my
So
goodness.
we certainly want to thank CJ. You were on a roll, so I certainly didn't want to interrupt you. I think the audience would agree that they were able to see everything. That maybe there were a couple of images that cut off before, but I was not going to stop your flow. Fantastic presentation. I bet you all, or hopefully you took copious notes as CJ shared the SBDC, or specifically the Illinois SBDC at Build Bronzeville, certainly is happy to work with you. Some of you are already clients, and if you're not, you can sign up to do so in the same area, e-center, where you signed up for this training. That is one of the main things that SBDCs do with clients, to work with them on their business plans. Once you have a solid, as CJ brought up earlier, right? You understand that you have a solid business to move forward with. There's a process. And so we'd be more than happy to work with you on that. And as CJ said, connect with her as listed there. I mentioned earlier, you will receive a recording of the presentation of today's training later, along with a request to complete a survey. We certainly appreciate your feedback so we can provide the best training that allows you to thrive as a business owner. And there will also be space on that survey for you to share potential topics for future training. We always, again, want to provide training that's worthwhile. So Continue to have a great day. All the best. Many, many thanks to you again, CJ, for a fantastic session. And have a great rest of your day and week. Here's to fantastic sales and great business growth.